And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thomson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Go back to flexing, mister, because you need to, because you're so freaking skinny anymore. It's incredible. What's up, everyone? It's the Weighing In Podcast, and we had one hell of a week with a ton of fights, capped off by UFC 299 with SUGA Sean O'Malley taking on a rematch of CHITO Vera, a match that is the only mark on his record. And you got to admit, Josh, the man, like we said, he's gotten better. He looked good throughout, and CHITO Vera has got a chin like an anvil. Jeez. I mean, that dude is just incredible. What a tough son of a bitch, but we will get to all that. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Yesterday, spent half the day at American Ninja Warrior Nation for my son. Just
those are awesome.
All over the place. And
those are awesome. I love those things for kids.
My daughter was having a blast, man. It was awesome. We had a great time and spent half the day there. And then we got this. There's a really great pizza place here called Tiesta.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like fresh bread. Like the owner's actually from Italy.
Oh, so you're saying he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he is doing. Oh man, I order the focaccia bread. I just bring it home. I'll order like 3 or 4 orders of it and just bring it home. It's so damn good. I do wake up the next morning, you know, when you wake up a little puffy.
Yeah.
So the hands were all puffy this morning. I was like, because I don't normally eat a lot of bread. I'm not a bread guy. I'm not a pasta guy. I'm not a bread guy. Never have been. But man, when I go there to get their pizza, I'm like, oh, it's so good. The bread just melts in your mouth. I'm getting a stiffy just thinking about it.
Oh, dude! No, when you can combine your bread and a stiffy,
oh yeah,
you're in a world that's unknown to me. So I'm just gonna let you go.
All right, guys. Hey, I want to make sure before we even get started on the UFC 299 talk, make sure you guys subscribe us down below. Subscribe to us down below. Thank you guys so much. And we got a lot of knowledge today, man. I actually did a little short video right before the fights went on last night. I don't know if you saw it, John.
I did.
But
I actually liked it.
That's my thing, man. Like, I think right now is we've got to remember that these are precious times. We're seeing a little bit of the changing of the guard of the guys that have been the ones that have really laid it on the line. Now, I'm not saying the new generation doesn't do that, but what I'm saying is I would like to say that I was kind of the last generation of guys that were in dog fights, like me and, like other guys, that I could say Gilbert Melendez, I could say BJ Penn, I could say GSP, like those guys that were just like, a lot of them were in some big Robbie Lawler. I felt like we were kind of the last generation of dog fights, like the guys that came up in when the UFC was kind of bought, by the Fertitta brothers. This new generation, but I think I got to be honest, I don't think I was the last generation. I don't think our crew was the last. I think the Justin Gaethje, the Dustin Poirier, I think those guys are maybe the last generation of the ones that you're going to get some in there, John. I know you're going to always get them.
Yeah, and this is the whole thing. It's no different than any sport. We look back, and I got to put you in this fucking category. I'm sorry, my man, but you're an old man. But we look back at the fighters that we started out watching or something like that, or that were a part of the pioneering of MMA. That there's a reverence there, and there should be, because let's be honest. When you take a look, and people talk about things all the time, we had guys back then that were they were fighting for nothing, but they loved fighting. They loved trying to prove that their abilities, exactly, their abilities were better than the guy standing across from it, and the money wasn't part of it. It was an ego thing, it was a pride thing, it was an honor thing, and those guys, you were one of them, and that's the crew. And what I'll say is those guys did it at a time when financially it wasn't something you did because, I want to be rich. I want people to know who I am, because there wasn't any real fame with it. It was so small. And that's where you look and you go, those are the guys that did it for a love of challenge, a love of the fighting arts, a love of trying to show exactly what they did and how good they were in certain areas. The guys today, let's be honest, they're better. Josh, they're better.
Absolutely.
But it's a different world for them too. And it's a different platform. And all of the stuff that you went through, all the stuff, if I could go on a rant here for hours about what I went through to try to keep the sport alive. All the courtrooms that I was in that no one talks about anymore and stuff, all those things that happened. And if they didn't happen and we didn't do what we did, the sport wouldn't be here. Right. And so there's a whole lot of people that, everyone, that fights today should be looking at it and going, hey man, thank you. You gave me the ability to have a life. You gave me the ability to make a living. It's something that I'm good at and I love. And I will always look at it like there is a separation, like what you're saying. And it was a separation of attitude towards what they did and why they did it. That's the biggest thing. The guys today, goddamn, they're fucking good. And and like you were saying, Dustin Poirier is getting older. Michael Venom Page is getting older. And they're going to be gone soon. Soon, their careers are on the short side compared to the long side, like when they started. And you gotta look and be so happy you get to see those guys do what they do because they're special the way they do it. But there's going to be someone to replace them. I've said it forever, and it's, hey, and there's a lot of guys that think this, and it has nothing to do with just fighting. It has to do with everything. They think they are so much so invaluable that they cannot be replaced. And I say, dude, they replace the president of the United States at least every 8 years. They can replace you. They can replace me. They can replace anyone. And that's just the way the world works.
Yep. I mean, while you were talking, I was just thinking though about how my generation was this, and this, and this. We were still trying to pave the way and trying to figure out the art itself. We were still smashing guys against the fence, and the sport's evolved so much. They've taken, fighters have now learned that the fence is a place of safety. Yeah. Where it used to be, it would be so much better if it wasn't there because, guys are, only the offensive guy is using it. No, not anymore. No. No, they're using it now for foot sweeps, trapping people, inside leg trips. They're using it for everything. Elbows, clinch, knees, elbows, everything. But then I look at the guys that kind of were right behind me, and I go with Max Holloway. I go with Conor McGregor. I go with Dustin Poirier. I go with Justin Gaethje. I go with Michael Chandler. I go this group, that group of guys right there. Yeah. Some of Eddie Alvarez. How the hell did I miss Eddie Alvarez? Yeah. Those guys right there are the generation behind me, one past me. And they have just been so exciting and such a great addition to the sport itself. Yeah. I just remember seeing Chandler and Eddie Alvarez won. Oh, holy shit. I was there because Trevor Prangley was the main event that night against Hector Lombard. Yeah. Or sorry, it was the co-main event, and then they were the main event. But it was just a display of fucking a lot of heart, a lot of balls. Both sides, yep. Incredible great fight.
But that got displaced. Why?
Because of Shogun Rua and Dan Henderson.
Yeah, the very next day.
Yep. It did. But I'm saying, I look at that generation that came right after me, because I'm kind of in the Dan Henderson, maybe even a little bit after Dan, I guess, kind of. But Dan and I kind of around the same time. But this generation of fighters that are now coming up past the Justin Gaethjes, past the Dustin Poiriers, they are, don't get me wrong, they have dog when they need to have dog, but realistically what I saw last night was a masterclass of technique being put on display. Oh yeah. Sean O'Malley looked fucking like a sniper out there. He was letting the jab and this long range punching go, and he was just right on target. And when Chito hesitated for a second and Sean felt too much pressure, boom, the push kick up to the body, setting that tempo, or the kick to the oblique to the leg. He did such great stuff. Never settled, never allowed Chito to get the ball rolling. Chito came out, I think, in the fourth and the fifth, where he was putting a lot of pressure right when the bell rang. And Sean just kind of okay, look, this is what he's going to do for a little bit. Now I'm going to settle back in. 4 more minutes of this. Let him get out his burst of energy. And Sean just put on a master class. And when we talked last week, we said what? if you look at the two guys, who's gotten better?
Yeah.
Who's excelled more? Who's gotten
No, you could visibly see
Yeah.
the difference of Sean O'Malley from when he fought Chito Vera the first time, and with the guy that beat Aljamain Sterling. You know, there's a marked difference, and we talk about the small little, you know, percentage, not even full points, parts of percentages that make the difference in how good someone is and how much better they are than somebody else. That's what you saw. You know, I looked at it and I love Chito Vera. I mean, I think he's just a phenomenal fighter. I love his personality. I love Sugar Sean too. I think he does things that people don't know about that I love. He's a little bit eccentric as far as the pink, you know, he loves that. But, you know, Rich Franklin used to wear pink all the time. That was his thing. Okay. So what? You know, he does things that, you look at and he's that next evolution of fighter. He really is. You know, you take a look, you go, who's going to replace Conor McGregor? Well, it might be Sugar Sean O'Malley, because I'll tell you what, he not only talks the talk, he walks the walk. Because here's the thing that I was absolutely in the position of, I'm a fucking fan for life. His corner, Tim Welsh, who is, you know, used to be a fighter, you know, I refereed him, he's a good guy, and they get along great. End of the fourth round, look at O'Malley's won every round, no doubt about it. Tim Welsh tells him, hey, you're fighting beautifully. You don't have to do anything. Just stay away from them. You know, take your time. Don't take any big chances. This is ours. Now, there's nothing wrong with Tim Welsh saying that. Nothing wrong with it at all. Sean O'Malley went out and fought his ass off, trying to get rid of Chito Vera in that fifth round. That tells you what he is, who he is, what's in his heart. Man, I'll tell you what, I love the way he went and fought that. And I'll tell you what, the body shot he took right at the end, you know, you know, it's like one of those, oh, dude, 2 seconds and I wouldn't be feeling like I want to throw up right now. But you know what? But he took it. And as soon as the bell goes down, he sat down like, okay, I can turn it off now. And he does. But I'll tell you what, that fifth round, the way he fought it, says everything you need to know about why you should like Sean O'Malley.
Yeah. When you play into that prevent defense, what normally happens? It prevents you from winning.
Yep.
And so I know that's in football. It's a football saying, but it's
true.
It's very true. You leave yourself open, like just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because all of your offense helps in defending you at times when you're on a roll like he was.
Yeah. I
mean, all that offensive output keeps Chito from being able to be offensive towards you. That's keeping you from being hit.
Yeah.
Don't stop the roll. And he didn't, man. He put his foot on the gas and was going after him. And goddamn, Josh, Chito Vera, what a chin, what heart. I mean, you know, when they played the replay of the sound, I heard it the first time and they played the replay of the sound of that knee. I was like, yep, something snapped.
Yeah.
Had to, because it's the same sound, you know, when MVP, you know, knocked out, and he didn't really knock him out, you know, hurt Evangelista Santos with the knee. That's the sound. It sounded like someone hitting a baseball out of a ballpark. It's that crack, and you go, oh, something's broken.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have been his orbital, but then it seemed like it was probably more of his nose, because between rounds he went like this to his nose, and so then I thought it meant that his nose was broken, and then his cut guy just dabbed his nose to get the blood out or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I think something was wrong with his nose. I think he knew it too.
Oh yeah.
Look, Sean O'Malley, just like I said, put on a masterclass last night. He looked fantastic. Used the reach, the range, the speed. Utilized that body the way that I've said this for years, John. That tall, long, lanky body style. You take him. You take guys like Patchy Mix, you take John Jones, you take Anderson Silva, you know, like a Kevin Holland MVP. They find ways to make it work.
And and the thing is, people think because they are that build, they're not strong. They are. They've got leverage strength, and they're a lot. Then they will put you in a position that you go, Jesus Christ, he's a lot stronger than I thought. And you can't think that he's not. He is. He's got. His levers are long. Sometimes it's a disadvantage. Sometimes it's a big advantage.
Yeah.
You know, and he definitely makes it an advantage for him.
Yeah, you know, I trained with Mike Swick. Mike Swick kind of had a body style similar to that.
Very
you know,
similar.
a little bit more of a chest than Sean O'Malley, but
Mike Swick will thank you for that.
Yeah, Mike, he had quick hands. He would throw like 3, 4, 5 punch, 6 punch combinations real quick.
But you can take a look at Mike Swick. He fought at 205. He fought at 185. He fought at 170.
Yeah.
You know,
he should have always been a 170 pounder.
Yes,
always.
Absolutely.
But he was someone that was very wiry strong, and like he had the long arms. So like getting body locks and crushing the elbow down, crushing the underhook, and then being able to take you down that way. He was able to do that. Sean does a really good job at utilizing his footwork. His conditioning's gotten so much better. And I said this last week when we were talking about the Peter Yan fight with Sean. I said that was a very good precursor to what we're going to see, how well he does against Marlon Vera, because the reason is that the confidence was built. If I can do this to the former champion, why can't I do this to Chito Vera?
Absolutely.
And in that fight, which I believe was only a 3-round fight so in a 3-round fight with Peter Yan, he was starting to get a little tired towards the third round, at the end of midway through the third round. In this fight, didn't even look phased by round 3. 4, 5 was running on all cylinders. Absolute fantastic job. Did a wonderful job keeping the pace. And then, like you said, not settling into being defensive mode in the 5th round. I thought that was a great tactic by him. As far as Chito, I mean, there's not much I can say. Like, he is a dog. He will take a shot, give a shot. But then what I said last week was this. He can't afford to wait around like he did with Rob Font and hope to catch him at the end of every round.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, I didn't say he waited around in this fight, but I'm saying that you can't let somebody with the movement of Sean O'Malley, the reach and the speed of Sean O'Malley, do that. Because in hopes of catching him, it's going to be very difficult. And that whole, like, hey, he's 10% better. I think it was Teddy Atlas that said that. Once he becomes champion, he's 10% better or 20% better because now he's the champ. He knows he can do it.
Yep.
And I got to be honest with you. I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it because.
So does he.
Exactly. And so with Chito, he's got to make a couple little adjustments. I would have thought he would have got started a little bit earlier on the leg kicks.
He's always
the calf kicks.
He's always slow in the beginning of the fight as far as opening up. It's almost like, I think I said it to you. I said, well, he gives the first round away like you used to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that's just the way his style is. He doesn't go out there and take big chances at the beginning. He gets his reads and then he starts to build. He wasn't able to build much.
No. Yeah, he just was slightly out of range the whole time. The only time he was really landing clean was like at the beginning of 4th and 5th round when he came out aggressive. But that is not a recipe for success, because it can be, but you can't do that for 5 rounds. You can't put that type of pace on, attacking, chasing him, trying to get him to go backwards. It's too difficult. Not to mention you leave yourself open quite a bit to be countered. And Sean O'Malley is a good counter striker as well. So overall, though, I know it was very one-sided, but the bottom line is Sean O'Malley's hit another level. He's hit another level of, and he understands how good he is. Now, the one knock I'm going to give on Sean is, please, man, Merab is there. Other guys are there.
We've talked about this.
Let Poirier do his thing,
and
where
you
he's
do
at
your thing.
Yeah,
and when you both have got multiple, 5 straight wins in the featherweight, in the bantamweight, there's really no one else. Then put that fight together.
Yeah. Dave, can you pull up the 45 and 35 pound weight classes, the rankings? Thank you. I mean, like, look, you've got Merab that's there. You got Corey Sandhagen that's there. Those are the 2 fights that I'd really like to see him fight. So there's at least 2 more. Let's say there's 2 more. And then you got on the Poirier side, you got Max Holloway. I'm sorry you got Max. And then you got Brian Ortega. There's another 2 fights. I'd even go as far to say the Evolov fight.
Come on, Evolov's undefeated.
I get it.
John, I could say there's 4 fights for each guy in their division right now that you could say that's a great fight. That's a fight that you know what? The champion's gonna have a hard time with that guy. Doesn't mean they won't win. But
who are your four on the Sean O'Malley side?
Merab is the
Merab.
first. He deserves it. He's done everything that you can ask. Corey Sandhagen would be the second.
Yep.
Peter Yan in a rematch, absolutely based upon. Nope. Sean did not. How many people thought that Peter Yan won that fight against Sean? Right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I think Peter Yan's going to beat this version of Sean, but I'm saying he deserves it, and especially if the fight that he had against Yudong Song. I mean, great. And the last one is Umar Nurmagomedov.
Yeah. I mean, I might even go as far as a Jonathan Martinez.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But by the time he gets through
Maybe,
Merab and Corey,
yeah.
I think Jonathan Martinez
Possibly.
is a fucking animal.
Yeah, he's tough as hell. But
and then on the Poirier side, I mean, you go Max, you go Ortega,
Evloff, and I'm being honest. It's a tough one to say, but Arnold Allen still is a great fighter. He just needs to get his shit together.
Yeah, he does. He just got to believe in himself.
Yep.
He believes in himself a little bit more. I think he'll be a title contender here pretty soon, in terms of like right there in 1 and 2 or 3, somewhere in that mix.
Yep.
Go back to the card. So the co-main event was Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis.
Okay, I got one problem before. I don't know how to say this at the start. I did see he had a staff. You could see it on his forehead, but it did look like it was going away.
Who had staff?
Oh, Saint Denis. No doubt about it. Yeah, right on his forehead. If you're looking at him in a picture, it would have been on the right side, right above, close to his hairline. There was no doubt. And so I was wondering, I said, is he on antibiotics?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, and because as I looked at it, I go, it kind of looks like it's dried a little bit, which tells me he's probably on an antibiotic.
It could have been weaning off of it. It could have happened probably like the week before.
Oh, no, he already came out saying it was the antibiotics. Yeah. But I find that hard to believe with what he did in that fight and the pressure he put on. I mean, come on, Josh, that pace was just intense.
Well, we never said he was a smart fighter. We said he was fun to watch.
He was fun to watch and tough as hell.
Yeah. He's tough as hell. There's no doubt about it. Dustin is known for doing what he did. Yeah. Starts off a little slow. He didn't have an opportunity to start off slow, but he allowed Saint Denis to put some pressure on him. He took some big shots, Dustin did, and he weathered the storm. Then he waited a little bit and he said, look, okay, now I'm going to start trying to pick and choose my shots as you open up. Robbie Lawler was very similar in that style.
Always.
He would let you come at him real hard and he would just roll with it. And then he would look to counter with a big left hook, or right hook, and man, he had some balls. He had some big balls, man. And with Dustin in this fight, he'd roll it. He'd take a couple steps back, roll with the punches, let his back hit the fence. Then he'd look and he'd try to peekaboo through and see if there was an opening.
Yep.
And Saint Denis gave him a couple openings here and there. But man, what I loved the most about this is this wasn't a traditional straight like left hook. It was more of an upper left hook, uppercut kind of, but more of a hook as well. Touched him on the chin, then followed up. I mean, he's doing things at a level that puts him right there.
And that was the big difference in the fight. If you really look at this fight for what it was, look at Saint Denis. Dude, I'm a fan. I love the way the guy fights. He comes forward. He is as he says, God of war, because man, he just steps on the gas and goes and he puts so much pressure, he's going to break you. That's what he wants to do. And he was doing that with the grappling, which really I was impressed with. I knew, his whole background was grappling and that's where he started. And then his stand up, but Dustin's got good grappling. Dustin is not a bad grappler. He's a solid grappler, and we always know he has a very good guillotine, arm in guillotine, straight guillotine. He does that very well when people try to take him down. But it was the difference in their striking that separated them clearly in this. Dustin was so much more technically accurate and better on the feet than Saint Denis. But Saint Denis gave it no respect. Walked through it most of the time. But in the end, that's what caught him, and that's what That's what ended up, making him get knocked out.
What I saw was Saint Denis is a little bit more. I could even say like myself is that we'd load up a lot. We'd load up for the striking. We would. When you don't load up like Dustin, the shots they don't see them coming, and they come
cleaner, faster. Yep.
And they hit you right on the button, right on the chin. It was clean. It was right on target. It was right when he wasn't expecting it. And Dustin just looked sharp, man. He looked super sharp last night. And let's not get away from the topic of this was a lot of risk for him to take this fight.
But I loved what he said, Josh, because it's the goddamn truth and it's what happens. And eventually you got to respect people. Gilbert Burns did it, and Dustin did it last night. And he said, and he gave credit to Eddie Alvarez saying, hey, Eddie did this for me. He gave me my shot. That's what got me where I'm at. And I got to do that for other people too. God bless you, man, because you got to there comes a point where you got to take a look and say, does Dustin Poirier deserve before this fight with Saint Denis, does he deserve a shot at Makhachev? Well, you could put him there, but you have to put other people ahead of him. You have to. He lost to Gaethje, so you got to put Gaethje ahead of him, right? And you got to take a look at everything and you go, okay, so what do you want to do, Dustin? And Dustin basically is in that position of, I want exciting fights. Great. Then who the fuck excites you? And he kind of looked and said, well, this guy, you know what? He's tough. I watched him. He's tough as hell. Might as well try to take him now. Yeah. And I think he had the right mindset. He had the right idea, because sometimes you got to get rid of these guys when they're early in their stages of their career, when they don't know how to control everything, do everything. And that was the difference in the fight. Experience as a veteran fighter got Dustin Poirier through a lot of the problems that were presented to him last night.
Yeah, just no understanding that. I think he also understood when this fight was signed, no, it needs to be 5 rounds.
Yeah, smart. Totally smart.
So then that would have made Saint Denis fight a different fight, but it didn't. It actually fought the same fight.
Which I think caught Dustin off guard.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the first round, I said he needs to blow his lungs out, because it's not that he's not in shape. You can see he's in shape, but everything has come so fast that he's you gotta get those lungs blown out. But that was all caused by Saint Denis.
That's the one thing about fighting guys that are at the top already, is that when you're fighting guys at the very top, you've learned now how to fight with each other at a pace that you guys understand.
Yep.
We understand this is 5 rounds. We understand that in round 4 and 5, both of us are going to be trying to pick up the tempo to break each other.
Yeah.
Younger fighters or fighters that haven't experienced that level yet, they think they can fight that way for all 5 rounds because they're in the best shape they've ever been in. It's not the reality of it. And the way that Dustin, the fight IQ came through as he was able to weather the storm. He got his back taken. He got hit with some big shots, had his back to the fence, but he stayed tight, stayed composed, stayed defensive, and then right when Saint Denis was able to make some space away from Dustin always turned and tried to put his back to the fence. He just did some good stuff. Step forward, making him pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
People don't realize how important it is when the two of you are fighting and the person who is like Saint Denis was putting pressure. And then as soon as it's not working and you're able to break away, don't back away and give him a second. Walk forward towards him, even if you're not going to throw anything. And Dustin's got that down, and it's so important. But fight fans at home, they don't notice that.
They don't pick it up, yeah.
Because when someone's tired and you're like, I need a second to break, and then someone's walking you down.
You don't allow them to have that second.
You panic. It goes almost in like panic mode for a second. You're like, oh man, he's coming forward. Like I'm exhausted. I need to get away. And then you move faster. And then that gives a tell to the fighter that you are tired. You're trying to get away from me. Now I push forward a little bit more. And maybe even I throw something because I know you're not ready for it. So if you guys are at home watching these fights, those little things, those little tidbits that we're trying to give you guys on watching to analyze a fight. I saw that last night. Dustin understood that Saint Denis was pushing pace. He was pushing the pace, leaving himself wild, loopy kind of. That's a lot of energy, especially when you're missing. or even when you're just hitting the arms. And once they got out of their exchanges and got back to the feet or got out of their exchanges and separated, Dustin just slowly started walking him down, walking forward, and making him fight when he didn't want to fight. Because there's nothing worse than when there's a guy like, say, an NC2A wrestler. He just shot double leg after double leg after double leg, didn't get any of them, and then now they're back on the feet, and the kickboxer's like, yeah, motherfucker, here I come. And he just starts walking him down, and the wrestler's like, man, I just shot 3 deep shots and I couldn't chain wrestle him down, and now I'm exhausted. And the striker's like, nah, I'm good. I got you, buddy. Yeah. It's that mental fuck. It gets you every time. Great job by Dustin Poirier last night. I tip my hat to you, man. He's one of my all-time favorites. I got to be honest. One of my all-time favorites. I trained with him a long time ago. Dude. He's a great guy. Yeah. Absolute great guy. Before we move on to the rest of the card, go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in, onlyfans.com/weighing-in. Subscribe us over there. It is free. This week I'm going to do a live chat on there, and we're going to get John on, I think, hopefully sometime this week as well. And we're going to have some fun. And there's going to be a lot of questions. I think we already have a fan page set up, not a fan page, a question page, I believe, set up on there. People are writing down some questions. So we'll have plenty of questions to answer once we get up on there. John.
Yeah.
Michael Venom Page makes his debut against Kevin Holland. Sometimes you got to be careful how you say things.
Sometimes you got to be careful with what you wish for. And your statements sometimes are going to come back to bite you in the ass. And look, I love Kevin Holland. I will watch Kevin Holland fight all the time. He's fun. He tries, to always win. This is a fight when I look at how he fought the best fight that he could. Okay. The best fight that he was, capable of fighting against Venom Page, because he did try to take him down numerous times. And this is what we could, you listen to people all the time. Michael Page is a lot better in his grappling than people give him credit for. He is not easy to take down. You better be a Logan Storley type all-American wrestler to hope to get him down. He's not someone that people just take down. Douglas Lima is pretty good at taking people down also. He's got a very good takedown. Couldn't take him down. Now, he knocked him out. That's how he got his win. But that was after being hurt and Page thinking, oh, I got him. So you take a look at this, and, Kevin Holland said some stuff. We know, we all know, ask the boss, there's a big difference. And as he walked out of that cage, the first thing that he said was, yeah, I got beat by a Bellator fighter. No, you got beat by a fucking guy that can fucking fight, dude.
Yeah.
And that's, it has nothing to do with Bellator.
No, it has nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all. Michael Venom Page is a unique individual. And I've said it, you don't understand it until you're around him, and, you've been around him, done things. I've been in the cage with him, as a referee. I've been in the cage with him fucking around to get, to see he is so much faster than people realize. And he covers distance so fast. It's different than anything you see. And he said it in his media scrum afterwards. He goes, you think what it's going to be like until you're in there. He goes, and then it's too late. And it is. And I think that Kevin Holland, in a way, kind of felt like, well, I went with Stephen Thomson, and you know what? That's very similar styles and stuff. They're not. They are completely different. And if there's one thing, I think Kevin Holland is a fast fighter. And you saw, he went back to his corner, and his corner's like, it's what we thought. He goes, no, he's a lot faster than we thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speed kills. It's a bitch. Michael tried to be a little too fancy at times, tried to do, some things to be that guy that was, going to get that, big knockout and stuff. He took chances that he shouldn't have taken, and he took them. And why I say that is, this is your first fight in the UFC. Mm-hmm. I don't care who you are. You go in with that much hype. The heart is doing the pitter patter, before the fight ever starts, and you got to just relax. And with as much energy and what Michael does with his bouncing back and forth and his explosive jumps in and out, he's gonna burn gas. And he's like, hey, you can't do the extra. Just fight smart. And in the end, people say what they want. I don't think it was 29-28. You know, he hurt Kevin Holland in the round that Kevin Holland was able to get on top of him off of a mistake. And Kevin landed a couple of good elbows. But in that round, Michael Page hurt Holland. You know, so the minute 15 or whatever it was on the ground doesn't make up for the fact that he was getting lit up. But the right guy wins the fight, so that's all that matters.
Kevin has some nasty, he has some nasty elbows from the top.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Isn't
One
beautiful?
or two got through.
Oh, yeah.
I thought when he tried to make sure that his moment didn't lapse. Like he was like, look, if I'm going to be up here, I got to land some shit.
Oh, yeah. I want to do some
trap
damage.
you again. I got to do some damage. John, you said everything that I was going to say. Like I've sat cage side. I've been in the ring interviewing him. I've seen him warm up in the back. I mean, I've seen him mess around out in the lobby of a hotel with some friends. It's a different style. There's not one person you can bring, not even Stephen Thomson, that you could bring to mimic that style, because Stephen's not as fast as MVP.
No.
And according to Kevin Holland, who said when he fought Stephen Thomson, wow, he's fast. Well, this is a different level of speed, and he covers distance a lot better than Stephen Thomson. Now, I think that Stephen Thomson is somebody that has a little bit more weapons and tools inside his toolbox. He's got it's a different style, the way he puts the stuff together. MVP is more of someone who he jumps in with 1, 2, and then he's out before you can hit him, where Steven goes 1, 2, 3, and then head kick over the top of your guard.
I agree.
It's just a different style of fighting. And like you said, no one knows until they get in there, and by then it's too late. You've already signed the dotted line. Yeah. You've already warmed up. You've already done all the press week. You walk in there and you're like thinking to yourself, shit, I'm stuck in here with this guy for 15 minutes. Yeah.
It is incredibly, frustrating and demoralizing when you don't hit somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but I've been there where I'm trying to touch someone, I can't hit them. They're that fast and that elusive. And you look and you go, God damn. And like I said, look, Kevin Holland hit him when he was on the ground, hit him with a couple of good elbows. But in the stand-up, Josh, he didn't hit him with anything.
Yeah. It was a little bit like that with the Tony Ferguson fight. Like somewhere in the second round, I was a step behind and just couldn't get to him. And he just kept rolling away and doing all this funky stuff. And it was very frustrating. Yeah. And, you're in front of, 10,000 people or whatever it is. And you're thinking to yourself, this is fucking embarrassing. Yeah. Like, come here, you little shit. Like it was me trying to run around chasing the chicken fucking in Rocky.
That's it. And you just like, I can't catch him, man.
I was so mad. I was like, come here. I mean, I was mad, but like more just like laughing in my head going, this motherfucker is out here breakdancing right now. What the hell is going on? Yeah.
See, at least what I did, I didn't have to do it in front of 10,000 people. Yeah. So that would make it a lot worse too.
But there's a lot of things that people will say about Michael Venom Page, but man, the guy can fight.
Yep.
That's it.
Dude, he's a great addition to the UFC. They have somebody that if they do things right, look, I'm being honest, take a look at the fight that was just before it. I would love to see Jack Maddalena go up against MVP. Two different stand-up styles, but they're both stand-up styles.
Yeah.
They're both like brown belts in jiu-jitsu.
Well, I want to remind people that, like, if you're not a Logan Storley type level of wrestler, and what I mean by that is a 6-time state champ, 4-time All-American out of a Division I school, one of the best guys to ever come out of the University of Minnesota.
MMA wrestling is phenomenal.
Exactly. And there's a difference between MMA wrestling and
there is.
Collegiate wrestling and freestyle wrestling. There's a difference. If you guys don't believe me, go back to what I said about American wrestling and Dagestani wrestling, Russian style wrestling. There's a difference between the two. Yeah. Styles definitely make matchups, and they make the same type of matchups on a wrestling mat. Russians have a different style of wrestling. Americans have a different style of wrestling. They all have different styles. But Michael Venom Page has spent his whole life keeping his back off the fence and learning how to get wrist control. He's got really long hands and fingers.
All the way around to like that.
I got to pull up the video one of these days. I got a video of him grabbing me around my forearm and his fingers touched.
Yeah.
I was like, this son of a gun, and that's like when I fought Tony, that was a very much similar thing. Tony was able to wrap his hands around my wrist and I couldn't get my hands
That's because you got little hands, dude.
Yeah, I do. But I couldn't. That's why I had no power my whole career. But Michael Venom Page is somebody who's learned very well how to defend takedowns.
Yeah.
Everyone has always tried to take him down to no success. You know, you've had Logan Storley was the one. Who else was able to take him down and control him? That's pretty much it.
That's about it. Fernando
Paul
Gonzalez
Daly was able to take him down. Remember
well,
that?
if Paul Daly came out, you figure Paul Daly, and this is going to be a stand-up fight, and Paul Daly, whip, he shoots in for a takedown and got it based upon, I don't think MVP was even thinking that he would try to do that.
But John, he got several takedowns against him in that
did.
fight. He was able to control him on the ground. I was very surprised. Man, Paul, I miss Paul. Yeah. Paul was one of the just the greatest guys ever, man. He was so good to be around. God, he had power, and I wish he wouldn't have retired when he did, because he still had a little bit left in the tank. But I also understand the way he went out, that knockout after giving up, the first two rounds, man, it was awesome. Anyways, I'm getting off track. But Michael Venom Page, Dave, can you pull up the 170-pound rankings? I'm going to say this, and you guys can bash me. Look, this is not about Bellator. This is about the fact that this guy can fight. Like he said, I lost to a Bellator fighter. No, you didn't. You lost to a really good fighter. Yeah. We've been trying to tell you guys, there's certain guys that come from other promotions that I'm going to say that are great fighters. MVP is one of them. Yeah. And when I look at this ranking system here, okay, I mean, obviously the fight for me that I'd love to see is him and Stephen Thomson. We've been saying that forever. I had everyone on Twitter blowing me up. Maybe we'll see the Stephen Thomson and MVP fight. I agree. I hope we see that fight. But when I go up even higher, guys like Kamaru Usman, I think have a chance because he can wrestle, but Kamaru doesn't wrestle anymore. Yeah. I don't know if it's the issues with the knees. I don't know if it's just, obviously we're getting older. It's not as easy, man, to get these takedowns. It's not as easy to do these things. And then the speed will be a big factor. The in, the out, the combinations. Now, I'm not saying that Kamaru can't beat him. What I'm getting to is the guys that can wrestle are the ones that are getting older in age in this division.
Yeah.
Colby Covington's getting older in age. Shavkat can wrestle. I would like to see the Shavkat and MVP fight. They're both tall. They're both long. They're both lanky. I'd like to maybe MVP to get one more fight in there. Maybe the Stephen Thompson fight, or Ian Gary.
There you go. Ian Gary is the one I'm looking at. That I go, yep. You want a good fight? Mm-hmm. Put Ian Gary and MVP together.
Yeah. Let me see it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's the fight to make. It would be amazing to see that fight happen. They're both tall. They're both long. They're lanky. Ian Gary looked good in his last fight. Good push kick. I think that MVP will give him some problems with the speed, the in, the out, all those things. There'll be some talking rights over there in the UK after all that. And I think it'll be a great fight. But you look at the guys, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, Bilal, and Kamaru. All four of those wrestlers are all above 35.
Yeah. All
of them. And so you've got the new changing of the guard, like I said before, where you got Jack Della Maddalena, you've got Sean Brady, you've got Ian Gary, you've got Shavkat. They're all the younger generation that's coming up right now. And majority of them are strikers.
Yeah.
Majority of them are strikers. So
if you put, we'll say, put MVP against Shavkat, put MVP against Machado Gary, he gets a win, you're almost looking at a big time UK welterweight championship fight.
Yeah.
I mean, don't think that the UFC is not looking at that going, oh, this could work out well for us.
Yeah. I mean, do you get rid of but do you match him against Ian Gary? Because there might be some, you want Ian still to kind of be there.
That's why I think they would avoid it.
Yeah. So then maybe you have Ian Gary, maybe you have MVP versus Sean Brady.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many guys in there. The ones that, if you're trying to get him beat, you're going to sit there and say, okay, I'm not sure about Kamaru now because he has slowed down, but possibly Kamaru. Colby Covington, possibly. He's got a good gas tank and he's a tenacious wrestler. He's going to get hit though, but that could be one. Bilal and Shavkat, those would be your ones.
Yeah, Bilal's going to get the next title shot. I think you don't want to put him against Shavkat. I would say if you want to get him beat, you put him against Shavkat. There's a good chance that Shavkat could beat him if he utilizes the wrestling. They're both tall. They're both rangy. They're both fast. All of these things. Shavkat being younger.
But if you go and you take a look at Shavkat when he fought Jeff Neal, which I thought was a phenomenal fight.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. Shavkat wasn't taking Jeff Neal down.
No.
And so he would try. He would try, and he does have good wrestling. I'm not saying he doesn't, but it's, again, styles make fights. You and I both know this. And his style is so hard for people to figure out because they cannot get someone in their gym to be able to truly mimic what he does.
Well, his style turns great stand-up guys like Paul Daly into wrestlers.
Yeah.
It's because you can't find someone to mimic what he does at the speed of which he does it. I got to be honest. One of my favorite fighters he's not as active as he should be, is one of his closest teammates and was in the cage last night.
Absolutely.
It was Norbert Jr.
Yeah.
That guy right there, that kid right there is the future. He's 24.
Like
yeah, he's 24 years old. I was surprised he was still that old. I remember I called his fight when he was 19 years old. He turned 19. Yeah, he's against Will Fleury. He just dismantled Will Fleury, and he was 19 years old. He's out for a while with a knee injury, but he's got some fights left on his contract for Bellator, PFL, whatever it is. And I don't know, but he's somebody to keep an eye on too.
Oh yeah.
Good,
because he can wrestle.
He can wrestle.
He can wrestle. His dad was an Olympic medalist. His dad was an Olympic gold medalist.
Oh, gold medalist. Okay,
yeah.
In Greco-Roman.
Yep.
Well, there's a lot to talk about. The MVP's got a step in the right direction. Got the jitters out, and now on to the next one.
That's it.
Jack Della Maddalena versus Gilbert Burns.
Boy, what one reversal using the fence will do is beautifully done. And that made the difference in the fight, actually. I thought that they were going into that last round tied up 1-1. I thought Gilbert was doing the right thing, using, his skill on the ground. But Jack did a great job, and he timed that knee as Gilbert goes to reshoot, timed it beautifully, caught him. And from that point, I thought Murgalata gave Gilbert all the time, maybe a little bit too much time.
Yep.
To try to get himself back. And, Gilbert just couldn't. He was getting hit with big shots. You got to give Maddalena fucking credit, dude. The dude is, you talk about Dustin Poirier, Jack Maddalena, it's the same thing. Watch him throw his punches. Mm-hmm. He doesn't load up. He just shoots them out, all different angles, goes to the body well, and he's not trying to throw with extra power. He's just, let me touch you, let me touch you, let me touch you. And every now and then you'll see him really extend on one that he's trying to put a lot of power to it. And hey, he's catching people, and he's just breaking them down. And Gilbert looked really, he looked good, but a little bit jittery coming out in the beginning in the stand-up, just a little bit of, excessive biting on feints and things like that. But he respected Maddalena as far as you could tell. He respected the stand-up, because most of the time Gilbert likes being in the stand-up. He feels like his stand-up has, gotten to the point where he's comfortable with everyone. He wasn't comfortable with him. Yeah.
No, I agree. Gilbert is, I feel like at this age, no different than Dustin, no different than MVP. But when you're fighting someone who is ranked below you, you just realize that this is the chance. Look, you want to give those people an opportunity. The UFC wants you to give those people an opportunity. But there's times where you're in there going, if this doesn't go my way, man, I'm never getting back to it.
Yeah.
And now you're making life choices inside that cage. What I mean by that is,
no, you're making life choices because your goddamn pay is based upon those choices.
Yeah. And but also too, as you go up, you tend to, you have a chance. He just renegotiated. He's got a new contract right now. I believe it's 6 fights, but he's getting paid pretty well. But where's he at though? If he won, if he lost, like that's where you're at. You're making life choices in there going, hey, what do I go from here now? I'm going to drop in the rankings, probably like number 8, number 9, somewhere in there now. It's just, you're never getting back to the title. Now you're asking yourself, do I keep fighting? He's got a beautiful wife. He's got I believe 2 kids.
Yeah.
2 or 3 kids. Yeah. And, do I spend time being a coach now at Kill Cliff? Cause he's there. He's
all the time.
He's there all the time. I mean, I'm not saying he should hang it up by all means. No, he still has a lot left in the tank if he wants it. But getting another run at the title shot, which is what a lot of people, he's been doing it for a very long time at a high level. You make those choices right about now. Okay. And like I said, when it happened to me with the Patricky fight, do I make another run or do I just call it quits? And it was like, I think it's time, man. It just, things felt different in training. I knew it was getting close, and for Gilbert, I don't know where he's at in training. I don't know where he's at in terms of how things are in the gym, but this is about that age when you start thinking like,
he's 37
okay, if I can't
now,
make
right?
it. Yeah, he's 37 or he's 36 and be 37 in the next couple of weeks or something along those lines. And, when I think about it, I think, am I doing it for the money? Keep supporting my family, keep doing what I love, and just fight down the ladder a little bit. And be, I don't want to say stepping stone because that's not him, but you're in that position where all the hard fights are going to run through you now.
Yeah.
And so that sucks, and hopefully the UFC treats him right, man. He's always been a pleasure to watch fight, and he got a lot of talent. He still has a lot left in him.
He's been very good for the UFC. I think they're going to take care of him as far as if he wants to continue fighting, he's still got talent, and he can beat a majority of the welterweights out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Della Maddalena, where does he go from here?
I tell you what, he made some call outs. He's going up there, and it's like he called out Shavkat. I love it.
No one's doing that.
No, and you gotta be honest. Gilbert was right behind Shavkat. Now I'm not saying that they're going to move Maddalena up that far, but Shavkat's sitting there with no fight because of the Bilal situation, getting the title fight, which we all think he's going to. What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, this is what you're talking about, but Shavkat's in a little bit different position because he's younger. But I love the call out by Maddalena. I thought that's a ballsy. I'm going to call out the guy who's fucking no one has figured out. Ballsy move, man. Loved it.
Yeah, I mean you're trying to make your step forward, and no one's calling him out. So let's just keep moving forward. He'll probably be at number 4, number 5 now. And that'll put him right there to fight either Shavkat, Bilal, or Kamaru Usman. I want to know what Kamaru Usman's doing.
I don't know.
40? Yeah. Does he stay at 70 or does he go to 85?
From what I've been told, he does have problems with his knees. Big problems. Problems to where he's unable to actually wrestle, in training. It's, ice bags on the knees, and what it's like and stuff. And you look and you go, he doesn't have the ability to really have that time to say, I'm going to get surgically fixed. What's that going to do?
Nah.
So it's like he's in that tough position because the dude can still fight.
Absolutely.
He can still fight, but I don't think going up to 85 is going to be the answer for him.
Yeah. I'd like to see the rematch between him and Khamzat where he has
I'd do it in a 5-round fight.
Yeah.
I would love to see it in a 5-round fight.
Yep, I'd like to see that. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Now we've got the Peter Yan versus Song Yadong.
Man, so, I'll tell you what. Song came out.
Wait, sorry. Hold on. Sorry, John. Dave, will you do me a favor? Can you pull up the scorecards for the Gilbert Burns and Jack Della Maddalena? Who was winning that fight? I had Gilbert. I thought maybe it was 1-1 or was it 2-0 Gilbert?
I don't think they'll have the scorecards because
they won't.
No, stop.
Wouldn't they normally? I thought they would normally show who won the first two. No way.
No.
See, that's where MMA is behind. Yeah, I want to know if he was up in the court, if it was 2-0, if it was 1-1.
I think that was 1-1.
He was, and I had him kind of winning the third round.
Even Maddalena's corner told him, you lost that round.
Yeah, so round 2. Yeah.
So
there's the that looks like
there you go. That's it.
Oh.
That's it.
Maybe they're not behind as much as I thought they were.
Okay.
Yeah, see, 2.
Hold on.
Yes.
2 of them had Gilbert up 2-0.
Yes.
One of them had Sal had it the way I had it.
Okay.
With
I'm not mad at either one, but Sal D'Amato is not normally known for good cards, so maybe you go with that way, John, and I'll stick with the the right way of judging, which is 2018. And so that's where my heart broke for him because I was like, man, you're winning this fight.
Yeah,
and
he was even if, I don't care if you had him in the first round, winning or not, he was winning the fight because he was winning the third round.
Yeah, it's true.
So. What? Hey. It's just a fight.
My heart breaks for him, man. We had him on the podcast. He's a great person. I was supposed to fight him, and the fight fell through. And just, man, he's a good guy. 37 years old. Understanding where he's at right now. So that's a tough loss, knowing you were up. Hopefully the UFC does him a solid, gives him a good opponent for his next fight, and we move on, man. But man, that sucks. You got to set up those takedowns. You got to circle out, get your back off the fence. Like when you're watching guys. And they get into, like I said this earlier, when you get into an exchange out of the wrestling and the grappling, don't go right just to wrestling back again. Go to circling out back to the center of the cage, start opening your game that way, or circle back to the center of the cage and put your opponents back to the fence. So now you have options between striking and wrestling to push them to the fence, control them. But look, easier said than done. This is in the live in a fight. That's it. A lot of things going through your mind at that very moment. So. Wish you nothing but the best, Gilbert. And moving on, Peter Yan versus Song Yadong.
Boy, like I said, Song came out. He was on fire, man. He was fast. He was frustrating Peter Yan in that first round. He was giving him nothing but problems. And it's normal that Peter Yan gives away the first round. He does it.
He didn't, though, John. That's what shocked me. Two judges had it 30-27. I was like, what fucking first round were you guys watching?
I have no idea. Pull that up because that'll be there. But you take a look, and Song Yadong was doing great work.
Yeah.
Even Peter Yan's corner told him he lost the first round. So if you're right in what you're saying, no, 29-28 across the board. Everyone gave.
Oh, okay. Yadong. Maybe I read it wrong.
Lying some B.
I thought he lost. I thought they gave it to. Okay, good.
I was
good.
like, well,
okay.
that's a bad. If it was
my bad, guys.
They
Sorry,
all got that one exactly right.
I'm out here spreading misinformation. My apologies.
Yeah, well, even Jan's corner said, you lost that round. Uriah was telling Yadong, hey, you won that. That's exactly what we needed. It was beautiful, but he wasn't able to maintain it, and that was the big difference. And he had Piotr. He had him biting big time on just the fake towards the legs with his hands, and he would come over the top at times. He had him biting big, but it eventually ended. And that's what makes Peter Yan who he is, because he does get his reads and he does figure you out. And once he does figure you out, now he's a different fighter. And that is what made him come through. Because even in the second round, at the beginning of the second round, Song was still doing well. He was leading the dance. He was the guy that was in control of the fight. And then it turned. And once it turned, there was the big difference where you saw him, Yan gets the takedown, opens him up with the elbow, slices him a little bit. But, it was a good fight. It was a close fight, but it was obvious that Peter Yan should have won the fight. But you got to take a look and say, man, Yadong Song at 26 years of age, Josh. This guy's got so much left in him. He's so goddamn good, but he did look like he got tired. And that was the difference, in the third round. He just, instead of having that quickness, it was almost a hesitation, and that made a huge difference in the fight.
Have you ever seen this or experienced this? I have. Is when a fighter goes out there, when he's fighting against someone who's a raised level of competition, and they don't fight the way they normally fight, they get more tired. Yadong Song doesn't fight like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't fight composed. He doesn't. Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't a good change for him a little bit.
Yeah.
But you got to find moments to stay composed when you've already emptied out the gas tank, take a step back. Okay, stay controlled. Don't get into a slug match. Last night, he tried. You could see right off the bat, he came out, fought very just right in front.
Yep.
Stuck the jab. It's no different than, I used this analogy probably a month or two ago. And I said, when you go running and you try to run at a slower pace, I get way more tired.
Yeah.
Because my body's not meant to run that way. I have a stride, and my stride is this way. And this is how I pace myself. That's no different when fighting. you train this way in the gym and then you try to change it because you're fighting a different opponent. He should have fought the way he normally fights. I will say this, maybe there was something in there because Uriah Faber's fought Peter Yan. Maybe they read into it a little bit too much, like stay this way, stay that way. But the Peter Yan that fought Uriah Faber is not the same Peter Yan.
No.
He's changed quite a bit also since then.
Yes.
And so when I was watching the fight last night, I'm like, Song Yadong needed to pull the trigger a little bit more because he was the faster fighter. And I feel like he had more power than Peter Yan as well. And the speed and the power together would have done more damage and made Peter Yan respect him a little bit more. He had that success in the first round when he was putting it out there. But as you try to control it and tempo it back and just stay back, that's when it starts eating at you. Like you're letting the fight come to you, and you're not used to fighting that way because you're used to bringing the fight to the other person. When you're the one setting the tempo, you know how fast and hard you can go, and you know when you got to take a step back and get a breather, but when you're someone that you're trying to control yourself and now the guy's putting pressure and you're not used to that, it's eating you up inside. It's an adrenaline dump. You're constantly working. Okay, do I go? Do I not go? You're doing cartwheels in your head going, man, what do I do? How do I fight this guy? And so that's what I saw last night. He almost felt like he didn't want to do too much because he knew that Peter Yan would still be there in the third round. And so he was like, I don't want to do too much. I don't want to leave myself out of position. This guy's crafty. He was getting into his own head is what I saw, what I thought I saw. Maybe I'm wrong. Did you see that at all, or am I just imagining shit, John?
No, I thought, the one thing, like you're saying, that he was very composed, but I thought that was the right thing to do against a guy like Peter Yan. I thought fighting that way is a smart way to fight because Song does open up with some wild looping shots at times. And maybe you're right. It could be that, that kind of just threw him off of his normal, comfortable pace. And it did start to alter, but it really seemed to me it started to alter his conditioning when he was taken down. And you saw a frustration level when his back hit the ground. He didn't do the things to get himself back up the way we're going to look and say, hey, you got to be smart here. Let's get to our side. Let's start to build our base. Let's, get our. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
Which told me he's tired.
Yeah. I've had plenty of experience of trying to fight a different fight that I'm not used to fighting. And
not a good idea.
It's not a good idea. And I'm not saying that he should have been out there wilding out and just, throwing caution to the wind and being crazy and wild. No, but letting it go when you see the moment and the opportunity, let it go. And in those scrambles, he's a scrambler, man. That kid can scramble. He's fast. He's explosive.
He's got everything.
He's got everything.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that if he can get out of his way in his own head, I think he can believe in himself a little bit more. A little bit of that Arnold Allen I felt like this was a big step up in competition at a young age. Do you have it? Do you not? He's got it. He's just got to believe in himself a little bit more, just a tiny bit more. Because I love watching the kid fight, man.
Yeah.
I love watching him fight. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him and how he progresses. Pull up that weight class for me, Dave, please. Because if we put him in that mix, right? Who are the guys there? I mean,
oh my God,
I don't know how long CHITO's going to be out, but him and CHITO would be fun. Let's see, Song. I mean, even a Corey Sandhagen. But I mean, I look at that fight, but I'm saying him and CHITO. If CHITO, they both fought the same night, CHITO's able to heal up and come through. One of them's got to get a win. That's normally the UFC's MO. Is they have two guys that are coming off losses. They end up fighting, so one of them gets a win. So that might be something we see in the future. And then Divison Figueiredo is fighting who? Rob Font?
No, he's fighting Cody.
Cody Garbrandt. That's right. Yeah, 300. That's another one. So I don't know. I mean, they're in there somewhere. You've got also too. You've got Umar Nurmagomedov and maybe Song Yadong.
Yeah.
I mean, Umar's coming off of a win. Song needs to get a win.
I looked at it. I was like, yeah, they're probably not going to do that.
No, they probably won't because they'll want. But I could see CHITO and Song, both of them, trying to get one of them a win.
Absolutely
Makes sense.
Or Pedro Munoz.
Yeah, there you go. I love Pedro, man. He's so fun. He seems like such a great guy.
Solid fighter.
I've just seen him in passing. I've never sat and actually had conversations with him. But
this is where you take a look, and I can remember when Pedro was young in the sport, and came to the States, and he was fighting in RFA at the time, and fought Jeff Curran down in the StubHub, in Carson. And rock solid in his stand-up, rock solid in his ground game, just tough as hell. But you look and you go, and now comes the next generation in Kyler Phillips. This is what you were talking about at the beginning, because that fight, man, I'll tell you, that was a beautiful performance by Kyler Phillips.
Did a great job.
Yeah.
Before we skip all the way down there, though, let's go to Curtis Blades versus Jailton Almeida.
What was the difference in this? Someone's going off there.
Is that you, Dave?
Yeah. It's me.
Okay. I was like, wait. I was like,
I know.
that doesn't sound like mine.
You didn't see me looking at all. I know. I ain't got one of those.
Oh, you got Miss McCarthy.
That's it. I tell you, I look at the Jailton Almeida versus Curtis Blades fight, and it came down to one thing. You're going to wrestle. You got to be able to have conditioning to last. And you're going to wrestle hard and carry weight and all of that. Man, you go for those takedowns and you're carrying that much weight, you better be in shape and ready to go. And it was clear that at the end of the first round, one guy was sitting there not breathing hard. One guy was sitting there breathing hard. And you're looking, you're going, oh, you're in trouble. You're going to have a problem. And then he went for the shot that he took. He's taking it because he's tired. And he doesn't want to be in the stand-up, and putting your head there and just sitting there. Not a smart fight, but this is, we were talking about, like, he was supposed to fight Curtis Blades before the Derek Lewis, because Derek Lewis was the replacement for Blades. Mm-hmm. But when you had that kind of performance, it was like, hey, we're going to give that right back to you. Mm-hmm. Because we want to see where you're at, and they saw, he's a good, solid, heavyweight fighter as far as his ground skills. Mm-hmm. But if he can't get the fight there and he has to work too hard, he's got to have more. You got to have more in the stand-up. You got to have more options, more tools in the toolbox to be able to get yourself through the fight. And with Curtis having wrestling ability, Jailton just wasn't able to pull that off.
I mean, he was ragdolling Curtis in that first round.
Yeah, he was,
John.
But that was a lot of energy going out,
exactly. Dude. And look, everyone looks great in that first round. They're like all rock stars. I never had that problem, so I just relied on rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Well, sometimes that's what people don't realize, and they're like, "Well, he's ragdolling him," and yeah, he was. It's a 3-round fight.
Yeah.
I used to do boxing, as a referee also, and Buddy McGirt was a lightweight fighter for a long time, boxer, great guy, great trainer.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a fight. I'm doing a fight with one of his guys, and his guy in the first round is just taking shots. Second round just taking shots. This is a 10-round fight, and goes to third round. He's still not looking great, right? And I just look and I say, "Buddy, watch your fighter for me." And he looks at me and he goes, "John, it's a 10-round fight. We got a plan." I go, "Okay." And sure enough, his guy came on and won that thing in 10 rounds, right? And I go, "Thank you for teaching me a lesson."
Yeah.
That's it.
Buddy was the first guy I'd ever seen with the real thin glasses.
Yeah.
He had like the little thin glasses with the little gold and black on the side. He's a stylish little guy.
He's stylish. Turned into a hell of a trainer.
Yeah. Jailton Almeida, he's got all the tools. He's got a big body frame. What I've noticed, though, from heavyweights that are normally this size and this athletic and the abilities that they have, they tend to not take things serious. And I feel like if you have a kid at this a man this size or a high school kid that's going to be a big kid, get them into some sort of wrestling so they learn they need to grind out things. Like he didn't seem to have that grind after that first round. That shot, all those things, keeping your head down low. You got to be popping, getting your hips up higher than his, elevating the leg, all these things. Maybe I'm riding on it too hard, but Curtis Blades, you see his face wasn't phased at all. He's getting taken down, getting thrown around. He was like kind of like a blank look on his face. Okay, I've been here 1,000 times against way better wrestlers than you.
Yep. And
I'm going to get back up. And when I do, I'm going to make you pay. I mean, it was very textbook. Like, let him use all the energy, keep make him work for every takedown. And when he's not working, make him pay by hitting him and, with some strikes. And so that's exactly what he did. Good performance by him. On to the next one.
Yep.
Macy Barber versus, I want to say Chikagian.
I know you want to say Chikagian, but it's Sermonara.
Caitlin Sermonara.
Yeah.
Macy, I said this earlier this year. I said it in our awards. Was it our awards? It was our 2024, 2023 recap into our 2024 season. I think Macy Barber's going to end up making either she'll fight for the title this year or she'll be right there at that number 1, number 2 position. Her growth has come so long, and fighting someone like Caitlin Sermonara Chikagian it's very difficult to deal with someone who is long and has a great push kick and a good jab and it's not bad on the takedowns and good everywhere. You know, and she's a dog, man. Like she'll take a shot, give a shot. Caitlin will. And so I think Macy Barber had to deal with the reach. She had to deal with that push kick, and it's hard to get past that stuff.
But she
did. She came in, she got after it, and yeah, man. I thought she put on a great performance, and she did a good job. Tough fight though for both ladies. Tough fight.
But I thought Macy Barber, you say, you know, the dog in her. Mm-hmm. She's obviously not a dog as far as looks, but man, as far as guts and heart, she's a dog, man. And she went out there and because she was making it a nasty fight.
Yeah. She needed to though.
Yeah, she did. And that's exactly why she got the win is she made Caitlin fight her fight. Caitlin didn't want to fight that fight. And that's the difference. You make someone fight the fight that is going to give you the win. The best chance at the win. You know, all the inside dirty boxing she did, all the stuff when she got her, always tried to exit by landing an elbow or anything like that. I really thought that Macy Barber put on a great performance against Caitlin, and that's one that she can be proud of.
I would agree. I think that it was definitely that next step that she needed. Good performance. On to the next one. Matisse Gamrot versus RDA.
Go.
I thought this fight. Look, I'm gonna say this first off. When I posted that tweet, you know, on Instagram and stuff like that about, hey, these are the guys that you've got to cherish these moments. Yep. RDA was definitely one of the guys that I mentioned. You know, even a Pedro Munoz as well. You got to cherish these moments. You got Gilbert Burns. You've got, you know, Dustin Poirier. You've got an MVP. You've got to cherish these moments and watching these guys fight because you never know when it's going to be their last. But RDA being back down to 155, he looked like he was 31, 32 years old again.
He looked great.
Looked phenomenal. I mean, not just physically, but like everything he did looked great. I mean, he didn't look like he's going to be 40 in like a couple months.
Yeah.
John.
Dude, he looked great.
He physically looked
phenomenal. He looked, he was fast. He had speed. It was just, he couldn't out wrestle Gamrot, you know, and that's just understandable. Not many people have been able to.
Now, Dave, can you pull up these scorecards? Because I think maybe this is the fight I was thinking of. I think they gave Gamrot the first round. I'm like, how did you give Gamrot the first round when
I gave it to RDA?
Okay, I was like, I don't understand how you gave him the first round when he got dropped. Gamrot got dropped right in the first round.
He got hurt. Yeah. So two of them, one gave it to Gamrot.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. But again, you know, I gotta say this, and I know people go, well, what's he watching? Sometimes you don't see that based upon bodies in motion, the referee getting in your way. It blocks your view just as that shot happens. So two of them saw it and said, oh, he got hurt. While one of them was like, he went down. Did he slip? I didn't see it. So,
yeah. Huh. Interesting.
It can happen.
Gamrot had to weather that storm in the first round, though, and it came through. In the second and third, he was able to start opening up on the takedowns, able to get to the top position, a little bit more control. But man, RDA, I don't see a end in sight for him. I mean, you got to think, had he continued on to win the second round, I mean, there was a good chance that he would end up winning that fight.
Yeah,
because he was able to do a lot of good things in that fight that made me feel like he still has a lot left in the tank.
He's got a lot left in the tank. He can fight, and he hasn't slowed down. Everything that he was doing there, because you gotta look at the level of the guy he's doing it against. You know,
go back to that, Dave.
Gamrot is one of the top guys in the lightweight division right now.
Look at this. Media scores 30, 27, 30. This is why we don't like the media. Guys, calm down.
Hold on. Take a look. Scroll that. You got to give the media a little bit of credit.
Oh, okay. I'll give them a little bit more. Okay. I thought it was just the three of them.
There you go. No.
I was like, okay. Sorry, media. Sorry, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of them
Michael,
had it that way.
Yeah. Dominic
Derniat or Patrick McCrory, Ryan Fedrick.
You guys, come on. What fight were you guys watching? The first round for sure went to RDA. But then the rest, Michael DeSantis, Steve Duncan, Zane Simon, John Pollock, all you guys. Good job on the 29-20. Good job on the 29-28. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
There's more down below. I would just
there is.
All right, let's go ahead and go into the next fight.
It's the one we talked about a little bit. Pedro Munoz against Kyler Phillips. Look,
Another
just
level.
Next level. Exactly. His striking was so good. We know he's good on the ground. He's been doing jiu-jitsu since he was 3 years of age, man. But this, they called him the Matrix for a reason, man. And he had Pedro Munoz confused. He had him off balance. Just everything in that fight from about I want to say about 2 minutes deep into the first round, it was over.
Yeah.
The first 2 minutes were competitive. They were going back and forth. And then Kyler started getting his reads and just started tattooing him. Man, and what a tough dude Pedro Munoz is. Like I said, I've known him forever and stuff, and he is. No one finishes him.
No,
he is tough as hell. But he took a. You don't see him take an ass beating very often. That one was rough.
Well, you have Kyler Phillips, who fights a little bit like how MVP fights, a little bit like how Sean O'Malley fights. Yeah. A lot of that movement, a lot of stepping in, stepping out, cutting angles, and letting the hands go with the kicks behind it, or kicks first and then the hands. He does a great job of mixing it up so you don't know where it's coming. It's that whole Chris Tucker rush hour. Which one of y'all kicked me, hit me, punched me?
Isn't it funny how both of them, Kyler Phillips and Sean O'Malley, both came out of the MMA lab?
Which is crazy. Do they still go there and train?
At times. Kyler does still. He's
they
still
just do their own thing now? Or what do they do?
Sean kind of does his own thing now, but that was where he got, a lot of his comeuppance. When he was like in the when he went to the Dana White Contender Series to get in the UFC, he was with the MMA lab.
I wonder why he would have left. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that's the best thing for people is to get out of a bigger gym and kind of focus on yourself.
That's, for everybody's different.
Yeah.
And, I've talked to John Crouch about it and stuff. He says, no, man, he says he's still welcome here. He's a good guy. I really like him and stuff. But, him and, Tim, they kind of went and started, going, doing their own thing. He says, that's okay. That's the way John Crouch is. John Crouch is
a good guy. I mean, like Vincent Henderson's one of the best guys I've ever met in my life, man. Absolute stud, man. Absolute stud. John, is there any other fights on here that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I gotta give it up for McCarthy. Dude, he went out and he got rid of a tough dude in Mikhail Olechuk. That dude is a tough guy. He just ran through him at 185. Yeah. Look out. I mean, I always said you're losing way too much weight at 170. He would run out of gas and you could see it. And it was like, what are you doing? But man, he looked awesome in that. It's a rear naked choke, but it was because he freaking rocked his world. Mm-hmm. And had him hurt. So, had him with the body shot is what, put him in that position. He couldn't breathe, but, very nice. And I want to also say, last thing, everyone looked good. Robelis obviously looked good against Josh Parisian and everything, but Joanne Wood, it was very nice to see you fight your last fight. It was Joanne Calderwood forever. Yep. She married John Wood. She's a sweetheart of a person. Congratulations on a fantastic career. And I hope that your retirement, you have nothing but fun with your husband. You've got Syndicate there on a sweatshirt is where she's from. That's
this is Syndicate. Yeah.
that's John Wood's school in Las Vegas, but congratulations on a great career.
It's funny. Someone's like, oh, you didn't bring up Joanne Wood. And I'm like, look, we're talking about older people and you don't talk about females' age. So we just we left that out. But no, congratulations on a wonderful career. But I did want to say about Robelis. He is another one like the Gelton Almeida. Yeah. He is someone who is physically a very big and athletic person. If you can work with him on being always in shape, not taking things for granted, and pushing to get better, not just on the feet, but on the ground, all of those things in the wrestling. Those are the type of guys, when you look at them, they're not – Derek Lewis is a big guy, but you can tell that, he carries a little extra weight that he shouldn't be carrying, those type of things, right? You got other guys. Rosenstruck. You've got other, guys like that. Tabora. These guys, they're big guys, but they're not the athletes of like a Robelis or a Jailton Almeida or a John Jones or a Tom Aspinall. Those are the ones that will that we're going to start seeing come into the sport at a heavyweight division, and we're going to start seeing top level fighters in that heavyweight division, hopefully soon. But I'd like to see once they start making money, once they start making that $4 to $8 to $10 million range, you're going to start seeing more of those heavyweights come on over that were just true athletes. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it happens soon, because right now, like we said a couple weeks ago, the heavyweight division to me right now is the weakest it's ever been in the sport of MMA, not just in the UFC, in the sport.
Everywhere. Yeah,
yes.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our UFC 299 talk.
Did you have something?
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua full results. Joshua quickly KOs Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
Give me your take, John.
Look, it was very simple to see how the fight was going off of the very beginning of it. Joshua went out and did exactly what he needed to do. He set up using a jab to the body, and he got Francis biting, and he was biting hard. You saw him trying to parry that hand down to knock the hand away, and you can't do that. It's a bad habit, and if you continue to do it in a fight, someone like Joshua is going to set you up, and he just set him up. He set him up by throwing those shots to the body and had him guessing, and when he lowered his level to throw that body shot again, instead of it being a jab to the body, it was a right hand over the top, and it caught him. And heavyweights, I don't care who you are, heavyweights have power because there's so much weight behind it. The human body can only take so much. Francis got hit with a good shot that one in the first round. I'll give him credit for making it through the round. He was hurt.
Yeah,
he was stung. You could see it. And then when Joshua did the exact same thing, he just went back to one of the things that you look at, it's in fighting, it's very simple, Josh. You know that. Something works. Oh, that worked. Do you just stop doing it, or do you go back to the well? Yeah. Do it again.
Give it some time. You give it maybe a round.
Exactly. But then go back to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, it worked again. Okay. I'm going to go back to it. And that's all Joshua did. He threw the same shot 3 times. They all hit him. They all hurt him. The last one put him out. I take nothing away from. I thought Anthony Joshua handled himself in this entire situation beautifully. I thought he was a sportsman. I thought he was a gentleman. I thought he had class. Loved everything about it. I thought he went out and fought the way he was supposed to fight. And he's getting better with Ben Davison as his trainer. Continue on, my man, because you got something going right now. You're a way better fighter at this moment than you were a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
For Francis, the one thing I'll say is it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. But I do think you need to go back to what is you. And
he's 39, John.
He's not 39. He's 36, maybe 37.
Right? Sure.
I'm positive.
How old is Francis Ngannou? 38 or 39?
Come on. 36, 37. Come on, baby.
37.
Ha!
37.
I win. I love
When's he turn 38?
Don't do that.
Lean. Jave, can you look up? When's he turn 38? Look.
They don't even want to tell you.
Can't find it.
Okay. So he is somebody that he can continue to fight it, obviously, in MMA, and that's where his bread and butter is in terms of what he should be doing.
September 5th.
Yeah, so he'll be 38 coming up.
No, that's a long ways off, dude.
Not my birthday's in September. It's
What are
quicker
you talking about? It's over half a year.
No, it's not.
Really?
I don't know what a half a year is, but John, he is somebody that in the heavyweight division you can fight for a while, especially in MMA. You can carry it out. Like I said, it's the weakest it's been right now. Mm-hmm. He has the ability to wrestle as well as knock guys out with his hands. I just look at him and I think to myself, do you keep doing it? Do you walk away? Do you just become, somebody? Do you come back in and get one win and then walk away so you can leave, your career on a win? You're guaranteed at least, $2 to $4 million your next fight.
After
somewhere
making
in there.
20-some million.
Yeah, after making 20, he made more than that. I mean, I don't know what his pay-per-view numbers would have been, but then, you're wearing what I think it said Gymshark or something on his pants. They paid him probably, $500,000 somewhere in there, maybe more.
More than
that. Bottom line is he walked away with a pretty substantial check. And
you knew he was in trouble from the very beginning.
Yeah, when he started biting that much.
No,
he was flinching on everything.
No, before the fight ever started.
Oh.
Drake bet on him.
John, I
Soon
love
as
it.
that happened, I went,
I love it.
oh, he's screwed.
I can't, you know what? I'm not going to say anything negative about Drake only because he bet on my Chiefs and we won.
As soon as I heard that Drake bet on him, I went, oh, he is so screwed.
So screwed.
It's like the kiss of death.
Yes. But John, I honestly thought if he won this fight, which I actually gave him more of a chance than probably most people did, because I had seen from Anthony Joshua, I believe his last loss was Usyk, correct?
Yeah, 2 losses to Usyk in a row.
Yeah, so losing to Usyk, just the way it all kind of came about, and then what I've seen from him is since that Usyk, the last Usyk fight, his body has physically changed. He's a little bit tighter. He's a little bit leaner.
He's a better fighter.
Yeah,
you watch his fight with Holland and stuff, and you look at how he's setting up his combinations and the way that he's extending through. He's not just hitting the target. He's extending through the target. He's doing things that you didn't see him doing before. And that's what made it like, I tell you, this is going to be a tough ride for Francis.
Well, that's one of the most difficult things to do for boxers that come from the Olympic ladder.
Yeah.
Is that
that's
they're
more
point
of a point
fighters.
fighting. Exactly.
They're point fighting. They're touch you with a little white portion of the glove and wait for it to go dink, dink, dink. And that's what they do. And so making that transition into like ripping through the opponent, trying to go through them. You hear it all the time. I'm not hitting the bag. I'm not hitting the mitts. I'm hitting through it.
Yeah.
And for him to not be doing that basically his whole career up until these last couple fights, we'll look to see another version of him. But just a fantastic performance. I was obviously rooting for Francis. Sure. I've only seen Francis in passing. I've never actually sat and talked with him. He seems like a very good person, but I loved his post-fight interview and said, like, what's it like? Your first knockout. He's like, I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
And that's probably what it's like being knocked out. It's like, I feel fine.
Oh, that's the best part about getting knocked out. There's no pain involved.
No, there's no pain at all. I mean, unless you end up getting a concussion, then you're throwing up and all that
that's
stuff.
Different. That's later.
Yeah, that's later on. But no, I mean, $20 million deep. Does he fight in the PFL?
I think he's going to.
$10 million for the first fight, $20 million for this fight. He's but that's without pay-per-view numbers. That's without sponsors. He's $30 million in. He's paid out probably $10 million of that to his coaches and his trainers and stuff. So he's probably sitting about $22 million, somewhere 20 to $22 million after all sponsors in his bank account. I mean, I've said this for the longest time. Same thing I said about Khabib the other day. Is 25 million or 10 more million going to make you, is it going to change your life? No. Do you keep doing it? Become an ambassador of the sport? Move on?
Okay.
I just don't know if we're going to see him in the PFL
I want you to
cage.
think about this. His deal with the PFL is not only to fight. He's got a whole thing about, he's the, he sits on the board for the PFL MENA, I think it's called now, MENA.
Yeah.
He's got things there. And I think the one thing about Francis is he's so real about, this is what's important to me, and he'll tell you. And it's important to him that he gets African fighters fighting in MMA and becoming successful. So I do think he fights in the PFL, and I do think that he stays with the PFL and he becomes an ambassador and someone that's in charge of, setting up fighters for him and stuff like that. And that's great because personality wise, he's a great guy. Yeah.
He seems like it.
Just a great guy. So, I mean, I look at the loss and it's like, it's funny. I just quickly looked over here and it says 83-inch reach. And I do believe that's what he has, but they had 78 when he fought Joshua. And I went, I don't think so, dude.
I don't got it.
If you I have a 79-inch reach, and he makes my reach look. I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, got it. I mean,
Sorry.
we're going to find out over time whether he fights in the PFL or not. So we're going to, you know, I do think he'll be involved in some way with the PFL. I'm just not sure if we're going to see him fight. I've heard that he was a little unhappy with the way things were handled in Saudi Arabia.
Well,
I heard.
Okay.
He has a right to be.
I think he does too.
He has a right.
Why
to be.
in the world, when you have your fighter, and look, I'm working with people. I love everything about, you know, what's going on as far as the building and stuff. Build your fighters. Your guy's going to fight Anthony Joshua. Your guy is there for your fights, and you got John Jones being freaking interviewed. Who gives a shit what John Jones says? I don't. I want to know what Francis Ngannou says about what's going on in this entire show. I want to know what Francis Ngannou is going to say about Ryan Bader and Heenan Fahea. I want to know about what Francis Ngannou thinks about everything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You said everything that I was going to say. There's no reason for, and I have nothing against John Jones. I think he's an amazing fighter.
Oh,
he's an amazing athlete. But
he's a UFC fighter.
Yeah.
And you don't have the ability. Why am I going to promote anything with John Jones? I'm not going to be as much as if I want to, I'm not going to be able to put Francis against John. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be a cross promotion.
No.
Okay. So why would I put John on TV to have him say that he can beat my fighters? I wouldn't.
No idea.
Do that for him.
Let me take this another step. Is the Heenan Fahea fight? Speed, power, physical size, all of those things. John, him coming off of a knockout, his first knockout loss of his career. I mean, I'm just saying.
If I'm Heenan Fahea, I'm saying,
yep,
bring him.
Yeah.
I
think France's gonna be a wrestler. I said that a couple weeks back. I think France's whole game plan to fight Heenan Fahea would be to be a wrestler anyways. You saw it against Ciryl, and I think you're going to see it against Heenan Fahea, because I think actually Ciryl has better grappling than Heenan, but Heenan's we got power, reach, size, physical, all those things. I think he's got probably the more power in his punches is Heenan Fahea. Makes for a good fight though. We're going to find out. We're going to find out how Francis fights. All right.
Can't wait to see it.
Wasn't there one other thing?
Yeah, there was the PFL in Europe.
The Francis Doumbé fight. I just want to talk about the main event because John and I are going to go back and forth on this.
We are?
Where I'm going to destroy John and the rules and let him know that I don't care if you wrote them. Guess what? I'm right. Look, go ahead. Give me what happened. Tell me what happened.
Tell you what happened.
Yes.
You had Cedric Doumbé, who in the fight, I thought I had Baki winning the first round. I had Cedric Doumbé winning the second round.
Okay.
I had Cedric up. I thought he was actually winning the third round when he motioned that he had a problem with his foot to Mark Goddard, who was the referee at the time. Mark Goddard told him, hey, nope, you're going to have to fight because nothing was done to Cedric by Baki that could have been a foul that created an unfair injury or an injury or anything that is going with it, unfair or not. No foul created a situation where Mark Goddard can sit there and give you a timeout. You can't call a timeout as a fighter. Now, in this fight, I can understand why people go, why? He was winning. He was. I think he was. But you have to have rules that basically cover all situations. And if Josh, do fighters cheat?
I never did, but yeah.
Do fighters cheat?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And you'll have situations where fighters will try to basically call a timeout when they're tired, when they need just a moment of time, when they need to clear out their lungs and they can't because the guy's putting so much pressure on them or anything like that. And so they'll do something to try to get the referee to give them that moment. Okay. So you've got to have your rules are very simple. Did something occur that creates a problem for Doumbé that was illegal. Now, you're going to sit here and say something about a splinter.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, no. Just, Josh, when I would go in the back and talk to you, I don't know if you remember, but I would bring up this exact situation every time I talk to a fighter. And I would say, Josh, if you are in the middle of the fight and we'll say that you break a finger, which you did, you broke your thumb. Okay. You dislocate a finger, toe, something like that. And you want to continue on in this fight, just continue fighting. I'll see it. I'll figure it out. And as long as I can allow you to continue on, I will. If it's a compound and a bonus sticking out, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to come in and I got to stop the fight. But as long as you're continuing to fight, I see your finger sitting on top of your other finger in your hand, I'm going to let you fight. I'll let you go all the way through the round. I'll let you get back to your corner and I'll let them pop it back in for you. What you cannot do is stop in the middle of the fight, show me that your finger is sitting across the top of your other finger, and ask for help, because that's what you're doing. If you do that, it's like asking for a timeout. I can't do that. You're telling me that you can't handle what has occurred, and I'm going to stop your fight. I have no other choice. You will lose by TKO. Do you understand me? Right? And you say, yes, got it. Okay. You did that. You've done it in multiple things. How many fighters have we seen fight with a broken arm? I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've had it. Okay. Now, I can't say for sure that their arm is broken, but I watch what occurs. I see their actions and I go, I think he broke his arm. Okay. Be it his forearm or his humerus on top. All right. Now, until he gives me the information that I can now come in and stop, bring him to a doctor, I'm going to let the fight go. I have to, because he's showing me that I'm handling this and I'm going to let you go. I do that with everything there is until I get the thing where the fighter's basically saying, I can't handle it. So you had a fight with Pat Healy, basically broke your sternum. Does it hurt?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you stop?
No.
Did you say, whoa, I got a problem?
No.
Okay. So the rule is there because there are fighters that are going to get hurt. That's part of what the job is. Professional fighters get hurt. Doumbé stops, points to his toe because he's got a splinter. How did he get the splinter? I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. No one can tell you. And to sit there and say, oh, the PFL has a dirty mat. Stop. You have people coming into that fighting surface. This is the last fight of the night. There was 13 fights on the night, 12 fights since one got dropped off, 12 fights on the night. How many people are coming in and out? Is it possible that something was brought into there? Sure. It's also possible that he picked it up on the way out because he walked out with no shoes. Okay. You can see that in his walkout, but doesn't matter. Somehow he got a splinter in his toe. Mark tells him, you got to fight. He goes back to fighting. And Baki kind of doesn't, they don't engage. And Baki kind of looks at him like, dude, do you have a problem? And so then Doumbé goes back to Mark and points down at his foot again. Mark Goddard is in a position he doesn't want to. And he could have done, the one thing he could have done is sold it better. Sold it better in that he stops and tells Cedric Doumbé, listen to me. There's been no foul. There's been nothing done that I can see with anything. You are going to have to fight through your situation or I'm going to stop your fight and you're going to lose. Boom, fight. But he didn't do that. Doumbé decided he wanted to point down and Mark Goddard just said, that's it. Fight's over. It is a TKO. You can't have a fighter asking for timeouts. That's basically what's going on here.
Got it. Okay, so I lied. I'm not going to go hard on the paint on you, but
Did I explain it?
You
halfway?
did. You explained it perfectly. There was two things for me on this when I was watching it. One is it was a splinter, and I know everyone's like, "Oh, a splinter! Like, come on, you're supposed to be a fighter, you're supposed to be a tough guy." But John, it is the responsibility of the PFL, the UFC, Bellator to keep their cage clean. Stop all these yahoos from walking in and out with their fucking shoes on. I'm
Okay,
sorry, but
hold
like
on.
you can track glass in.
Stop.
You can track. Go ahead.
Stop. I agree with you. I'd like to
Yes.
see that. It has nothing to do with the PFL. It has nothing to do with the UFC. It has nothing to do with anyone who's in control of that cage.
Well, I would assume it'd be the PFL. It's their
The
cage.
commission.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to put it on. This is the truth. I'm going to tell you, look, there was, I'll give you a little story. The most I've ever seen a cage clean was Bellator.
Mhm.
Okay. And it happened in California, and it happened because there was a porn star that actually put a lawsuit in for, what was it? It was against, he had gotten a lawsuit for, oh, you have to do certain things during your filming and stuff. And he says, no one else has to do that. And so he put a thing in saying that, mixed martial arts is on a dirty thing. They don't clean it or anything. Andy Foster had them cleaning that mat the entire time. After every fight, that sucker was being, because you had the health services. I can't remember exactly who it was there, and I was refereeing at the time, and it was like, what are they doing? Right. Because you just don't see it that often. The times that we see a mat cleaned are usually when we have, the UFC does something and they'll pop something off, or Bellator would pop something off and they'd clean it out. They would, they'll use a blower and, clean it out. The UFC back when they were on Fox used to actually come in and paint the canvas with blood. There'd be blood on the canvas from fights, and they would paint it because Fox didn't want to have blood on the canvas. So they'd come out, and you would come out next and have to fight on fresh paint.
Yeah. But I looked at it like it's their responsibility, someone's responsibility to keep the cage clean.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I say that is because we were just in Riyadh and the event was outside.
Yeah.
Fighters are warming up outside on fake grass
Yeah.
with rocks and with whatever. Now, if I was to take something into that cage, whether through my corner's feet or through other corners before me that would have been in there, through the referee, whatever it is.
It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yes.
So that to me is the splinter should have never happened.
Well, I want people to understand this. If the referee can sit there and say, and I've had it, the cage caused an injury to the fighter. Okay, a zip tie.
I've seen it.
Cut.
Pat Minahan.
Okay, I've seen it where the cage actually, there's a part of the metal sticking, that's on the cage, but there's a piece of metal that's kind of like sharp on it, and I've seen a guy get cut from it. Okay, I've seen gloves tear based upon being, pressed against the cage and stuff, and all those things. Yes, the cage caused the problem. The cage caused the injury. We're going to take care of that and resume the fight once we take care of the problem. Again, the problem is with this one is Mark Goddard's in a position. He doesn't have the ability to be that guy that, let's bring a doctor in, bring the doctor in. Let's see if we can get us, see if he can see the splinter. That is the same as me having you, when you broke your thumb, I stop the match. I put Benson Henderson to a corner. I bring you over. I have the doctor try to manipulate your thumb. I can't do it. Yeah. That injury happened during the fight. Did Benson do anything illegal to cause that injury? No. So since there was nothing illegal, it's part of the fight. It's when I sit there and I say we call it a self-inflicted, it's self-inflicted when we can't figure out how it occurred.
Yeah. I just was thinking in terms of it was in the cage. It should have been clean. It's basically like a zip tie would have cut him or something, but this is in the cage. Should be clean. Now, my knock is I've been inside these cages where 50 damn people get in there and they got their damn shoes on. They're running around. They're bringing everybody in there, promoter. Everyone's bringing their people inside before the guys fight. And so that's one thing. Secondly, the other thing that I was like is that if the fighter is not fighting against Doumbé, then why stop the fight? He wasn't like he was engaging. So there was no action, and Doumbé's looking at his toe. But if the guy's not going to press the action, and Mark Goddard goes, keep fighting, and this guy doesn't press the action, they're really just not fighting.
Yeah.
And that's not Doumbé's fault. Like, then the other guy needs to push the action. The other guy needs to just keep trying to fight him.
Okay.
And that will make him fight, or that will make him give up.
Okay.
And so I guess in that situation, like, if neither guy is fighting, I would just stand there and go, hey, you guys got to fight. You guys got to fight. But then calling it for one of the other fighters, calling it off, calling it a TKO.
No, again, what did
They
Doumbé,
both weren't fighting.
What did Doumbé do the second time?
He's looking for help from the ref. It's like assistance, I guess I could say.
You're stuck.
Yeah.
And this is where, look, we have leeway to a point. And the only thing that I could have said that Mark Goddard could have done differently is, like I said, set it up and basically, you don't even have to call time.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric speaks English. Listen to me. There has been no foul that I can call an injury on. If you want the fight stop, I will stop it right now. You're going to lose by TKO. Otherwise, you've got to continue to fight. That's it.
Choose your next words carefully. Do you want to fight? Yes or no?
There you go.
That's it right there, right? Well, that's pretty much the take that I had on that, was that I wanted to know they both did stop fighting. Why did Mark start the fight? I would have liked to have seen what you just said, was give him that extra chance. Hey, you choose your next words carefully. Do you want to fight? Yes or no? And if you don't, then we're stopping the fight. If you do, then keep fighting. Otherwise, you lose.
Yeah, he can't get any assistance. No. I know it doesn't seem fair, but that's just the way the rules. There's nothing that Mark Goddard can do in that situation as far as bringing a doctor in. There's no injury there.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
John,
and this is the worst part is it's a splinter.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, really? You're getting fucking kicked and punched in the head, and
I know
you're stopping because of a splinter.
But okay, and this is the true point. Look, Cedric Doumbé is a tough dude. This guy is a great fight, great kickboxer and everything. It's just that mentally he was like, hey, I don't want to step on this anymore. And it wasn't like if you could have taken and broken it down for him and said, hey, you're going to lose this fight. Let's go. He would have gone. He just he did not understand the situation.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, that's going to wrap up our weighing in episode for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Dave will hopefully get this out sometime in the near future. Go to weighingin.merch.com/weighing-in, weighingin.merch.com/weighing-in. Go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in. Subscribe to us over there. It is free. I will be doing a live show this week on onlyfans.com/weighing-in. And the last thing is smash that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much. You guys are keeping us going, man. We love it. Thanks for subscribing to the Weighing In podcast. Hit the bell and notifications. We'll be dropping a lot of little small shows this week. And John, take us away, bud.
For everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed all of the fights this weekend. It was a pretty special one. Fantastic UFC 299. Big fight from Riyadh. And then sold out Paris show for PFL. Congratulations. And I'm sorry about the whole Cedric Doumbé thing. But I hope everyone enjoyed the fights, and we will see you.